Hey everyone, well today we have a new plane to unbox. Now as you can see, you have no idea what this thing is other than it is just a gigantic white box that probably contains an airplane. So we're going to take a look. What is actually inside this completely unmarked box here. Alright, so hiding inside this unmarked box is the Hobbyking 1875mm B-17. So that's what today's unboxing is about. It's about the 1875mm B-17 from Hobbyking. Now there are two versions of this airplane. There is the Olive Drab, which this one is here, as well as a natural aluminum silver colored airplane. Both kits assemble exactly the same. They look the same except for the color's different. Also, the airplanes can be built as either the F model without the chin turret or the G model with the chin turret. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started on unpacking this thing, shall we? All right, everything is very well wrapped, very much like how kind of planes I receive from Horizon Hobby are. Everything is very well put together here. Okay, with all the tape removed, you can actually now safely remove the components inside the box. One word of caution is make sure you take the tape and remove it completely from the box. I've had it happen before where a little bit of the tape was exposed and I grabbed some of the painted surface with it, and I went to go pull the tape off, I pulled the paint off with it. So just a word of caution there to make sure you remove the tape completely from the box before you start unpacking. So we'll start here at the decal section here. This also includes a user manual and all the insignias for actually a couple different bombers. The first one you see up here is Ye Old Pub, which is a pretty famous B-17. If you've read the book A Higher Call, you'll know exactly what airplane that is. And that's a B-17F model. So it looks like there's some additional nose art here for the blonde bomber. I'm not familiar, I don't think I've seen anybody use that one before. But otherwise, just a pretty well standard decal sheet inside here. There's two sets of national insignias. There's the blue and the white, and there's another decal sheet in here that I can see from the backside that has the national insignias outlined in red. So those were used a little bit earlier in the war. So go ahead and move this off to the side. We're actually not going to use any of those logos anyway, but we'll go over that here in just a little bit. Next up is the wing. Here is the first one. So this is the right side wing, all wrapped in plastic. As you can see, it is pre-painted olive drab and neutral gray on the bottom. The retracts are already installed. The ESCs are installed as well as the servos for the flaps and the servos for the ailerons. The LED landing lights and navigation lights are also installed. And the wires for the motors are sticking out through the engine nacelles. And there's also some markings on here already. The kind of the no step markings for the wings are on here, as well as the de-icing boots. So we're going to go ahead and move this out of the way. Next up is the vertical stabilizer. Nothing really to note here, other than the control horns are already installed. It's painted the olive drab with the de-icing boot on it. One thing to note is that when you do assemble this, part of this surface here actually extends down into the waist gunner windows. So when you get ready to install this, test fit it first. See what area that is visible and go ahead and paint that black, otherwise you'll actually see that through the waist gun window. So everything here wrapped in plastic, no big surprises, move it out of the way. Next up is the opposite side wing. It's exactly the same as the other wing, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it here. Other than you can kind of see the wire harnesses sticking through for the servos, the speed controller, landing lights, and retracts. Next up is the horizontal stabilizer. Once again, olive drab on the top, neutral gray on the bottom. De-icing boots and control horns are already installed. It looks like the one control horn I have here is slightly bent, so we're going to take a look at that. Looks like it punctured the plastic here. It must have been rubbing on something. So we're going to take a look at what that problem is and whether or not we need to address that before assembly. Okay, we also have, I'm only going to get 2 of these out, they all look the same. We have 4 engine nacelles with dummy engines inside of them. Olive Drab on the top, neutral gray on the bottom. And they actually went as far as actually painting the inside of these zinc chromate. So actually it gives it a little bit more realism, but the actual radial engines would not be this open. So you may want to actually darken up part of this on the inside here to kind of give a little extra realism. But the cowl flaps would be zinc chromate, but you can kind of weather them accordingly. We also have the Bombardier's nose cone, the nose window. We have a bag of components here, which are the spinners for the prop, which are painted olive drab. I'm going to go ahead and paint those silver or black. I haven't seen too many that were olive drab. They probably did exist. The screws to mount the wings, the battery connectors, and looks like here is the wire harnesses to connect the electronics to the receiver. That's all packaged in here, as well as the 2 wing spars and some additional bits of plastic. Extra control horns are all situated inside this little bag. Here we have the ball turret, which goes up underneath the fuselage, as well as 50 caliber machine guns with rubber grommets that actually hold these in place. We have our propellers located here. They actually give you 6 propellers. So you actually end up with 2 spares. So you'll have 2 clockwise rotating, 2 counterclockwise rotating, and then 2 spares. I'm going to go ahead and put those right back in. And lastly, we have, well, let's see, there is the G model chin turret, and this just glues on to the bottom of the aircraft, so we don't want to forget about that. And lastly, we have the fuselage. So you can see it comes all pre-painted. It has all the windows are installed. And let's see what else. Tail wheel is installed on the very bottom. There, we actually got it outside the plastic so you can take a look at it. Now, there are a few inaccuracies on the aircraft. For one, it is a staggered waist gun, which is a G model, but yet it has the front windows of the F model as well as the upper chin turret of the F model, and also has the sealed window over the radio compartment, which was also a G model, and it has an earlier model, which some G and some all F models and some early G models had this same style rear turret, so that's really not terribly inaccurate. But otherwise, the panel lines look very nice on the airplane. It's very scale. It does appear that there is a gouge in the foam from something in packaging, but I think we can clearly fix that. The aircraft is very detailed. Proportionally, it looks fairly correct. This is the cockpit where you install the batteries. There's batteries go down inside there. There's little holders for them. And it's magnetic. It's held on by magnets. We're going to have to put that back on. Looks like on this one, the fit and finish isn't great between the 2 surfaces here, and you can actually look down and see some of the white foam. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that on this particular one. It has some sort of a dummy Bombardier's chair up front that doesn't look very accurate. That's going to be cut off and removed. Something else to note is if you use the F model, it has a ventilation opening here in the bottom of the fuselage. And when you put the G model turret on, this goes away. So I would encourage you to put some holes in the leading edge of the chin turret here to allow ventilation through the aircraft, as well as probably opening up something downstream to let the airflow flow out. Some people remove this window, some people put holes in it. So there's a couple different ways you can get air in and then get air back out. So it also has this steerable tailwheel, which is non-retracting. So we're going to go ahead and put this back inside the box, and then we're going to go over some of the changes on how you can modify the B-17. So now that you've unboxed your B-17, if you're just going to leave it an F model, you really don't need to go much further in this step. But if you are going to make it a G model like I am, you're going to need a few extra pieces that you can find online. Let's go ahead and spread these out a little bit. So, regardless of what model you need, you're going to need a receiver. I'm using the an AR610 from Spectrum. This is a non-AS3X sport receiver. This will work with my existing Spectrum radio that I have on, that I use for all my aircraft. So, nothing really special here, but you will need at least 6 channels to operate everything on the aircraft. You will only need to go with these Y harnesses and some extensions if you decide to add this next piece, which is retractable tailwheel. All B-17s had a retracting tailwheel. The Hobbyking model does not include one. It's not a terribly big deal unless you want more realism. So a lot of guys uses the FMS BF109 retractable tailwheel. Yeah, it seems a little odd to use a German fighter component on a B-17, but it actually works out pretty well and fits the aircraft. So it includes all the wires, but you will need to extend the wires or use the Y harness to go from the rudder to the steering mechanism on here, as well as from the front retract to the rear retract to make sure everything functions properly. I also recommend using some servo extensions, because what I'll end up doing is assembling the aircraft at the field. So I'll have the receiver mounted on the wing, and I'll have a number of wires that can go through the fuselage and terminate through the bottom at the wing. And to help make it easier to assemble, 6-inch servo extensions are plenty. Now, if you want to add more realism to the aircraft and make it a proper G model, there are 2 things I recommend. Both of them come as parts of the free wing B-17. These are the spare parts. I got these from Motion RC. This bag here, which is the plastic parts, include extra 50 caliber machine guns. It includes the Norden bomb sight, and includes the radio antenna that goes up by the navigation bubble in the front. So these just add a little extra realism to the aircraft. And if you're going to build a G model, you're going to need 2 extra 50 caliber machine guns, because you'll need 2 in the nose on the chin turret and 2 on the side for the cheek guns. Speaking of the cheek guns, the free wing B-17's plastic kit here includes. Whoops, actually these actually are pretty poorly painted in comparison to other ones I've seen, so I'll have some work to do on these. But anyway, these little cheek blisters here go right over the sides of the aircraft where the bombardier and navigator windows are, and these have a pair of 50 caliber machine guns on them. Now these fit the Hobbyking model perfectly. They are not accurate in the sense that how they have the windows set up, but you can paint or remove the paint on here and actually have a clear window, or you can just paint it solid black. You'll also want to make sure you paint the leading edge windows, and the windows that are up on this angled portion here are not supposed to be clear. You'll have to paint those olive drab. So like I said, they're not perfect in their painting, but they're perfect for a fit. So that's what's important here. The rest of these pieces from the free wing kit are not needed for anything, but you know, you could probably find someone on the RC groups that can use them. Lastly, if you are not going to use the supplied graphics from the Hobbyking model, call up Cali Graphics. That's where I get all my graphics from. A lot of guys use Cali Graphics, and inside here she has national insignias, all the tail markings, the squadron markings, as well as the nose art. Not going to show you exactly which one I picked yet, because when I get done building the aircraft, you'll have to tune back in and see what airplane I ended up picking. But otherwise, now you've had a brief overview of the Hobbyking 1875mm B-17. Guys that are pretty good could probably put this together in an afternoon and be flying. I'm going to take a little bit longer. I'm actually going to probably take a few months, and I'm going to fully detail the aircraft out, weather it properly, and do a lot of special detailing work to kind of make the aircraft look even more real. Another thing you can do from the free wing models, you can use the retracts, which are a little bit more scale and have the forward strut that you would have on the B-17 that the Hobbyking one does not. That's a little bit more of an in-depth procedure, and I'm not going to really go into how to do that because I haven't done it myself. But anyway, that is the unboxing of the 1875mm Hobbyking B-7. One of the more popular discussion threads on RC groups is on this aircraft. And if you're interested in it, I surely encourage you to go check that forum out and join in the conversation. There's some pretty amazing B-17s out there, and it's been a huge inspiration for my build. So that's it.